And for more on ActionSA's position on the moonshot pact, we speak to President Herman Mashaba. Mr. Mashaba, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. We heard John Steenhuisen there speak about a so-called doomsday pact that will dance to the EFF's tune. You yourself have said you accept this pact conditionally. How sure are you that when you do come together, it's a pact of mutual respect and humility, as you've put it?
Thank you very much, SABC, and good evening to SABC listeners and broader South Africa. I think we need some intervention to really get Mr. Steenhuisen from the DA to really be honest with South Africans. I think, more especially for us as ActionSA, to even call us Action South Africa, we are not sure. I don't represent a political party called Action South Africa. I represent ActionSA. Wrote to him the very same day that he wrote to us, because we were taken by surprise on the day when he was elected as the leader, and suggesting this moonshot pact. And wrote to us, and I responded to him immediately the very same day. And I've also responded to him again today after writing a letter to us as if we are part of this pact that is led by the DA. We made it really very clear as ActionSA that we understand that South Africa has entered an era of coalition. It's something that no one can avoid, because no one is going to get outright majority come 2024. However, for any coalition anywhere in the world to succeed, it'll need some humility, it'll need some mutual respect. But I think it appears to us as ActionSA that DA is totally committed to disrespecting us and misleading South Africa, because ActionSA has not committed to them. In fact, even I had a telephone conversation with him yesterday, just after 12 o'clock, because I tried to get hold of him on Thursday. He was busy in meetings, and said to me he's available after 12, and I called him after 12 o'clock, and I had a frank discussion with him that, John, please let us get together, all the parties. This is cannot be a DA or ActionSA or any other party's initiative. This is a coalition of like-minded political parties.
And I want to see what like-minded looks like in your mind, Mr. Mashaba. So I want to look at the philosophy behind what an opposition is. So there is challenging government choices, actions and or policies, holding them to account. Then there's a wholesale opposition where there is no room for choice that includes said party or parties. And I'm talking here about what the DA's approach is, anything but the ANC and EFF. As ActionSA, are you saying there is no room in democratic South Africa that includes ANC and or EFF, including their policies, some of which might align with yours?
Well, I think ActionSA, even from the days of the People's Dialogue until we launched the party on the 29th of August 2020, and SABC covered that launch live, and I made it really very clear that the 2.4 million South Africans who gave us the mandate to start these political parties gave us the mandate never to go into a coalition with the ANC in all three spheres of government. And obviously, if you really look at the EFF as well, because the EFF and ActionSA at national level, there's just no way that our policies can ever meet, and therefore we would not even want to really waste our time to entertain any discussion. We are happy to talk to other political parties that to some extent share some of the values that we advocate. the values of a non-racial South Africa, the free market economy, the parties that believe in the rule of law and fighting corruption, parties that believes in social justice, parties that believes in providing quality education to all South Africans, parties that believe in the sovereignty of South Africa. So that South Africa built over the last 300 odd years or so, built at the back of migrants. We must continue building, asking people of the world to come to our country. But South Africa is a sovereign country. South African borders must be controlled. And those are the parties, if they agree with us, those are the parties that would really, obviously, I think from ActionSA, are the things that we're putting forward.
And I also
that's just some of them. Obviously,
yes, it's not an exhaustive list.
The opportunity, I'm happy to share more of the things that for us as ActionSA are central to our core values.
Yeah, so you're saying, Mr. Mashaba, it's not an exhaustive list, but I want to look at, and also perhaps how you undersee it. We've seen coalition party politics fail in some of the big metros in South Africa. But there's also the notion of election coalition agreements, which some researchers will tell you that if you look at what they agree on, it's not always clear. The list is not always fleshed out in terms of how far they will go or what are particularly non-go areas. So when Mr. Steenhuisen talks about a summit that will bring parties together to talk about this, are you principally not opposed to it? Because you said earlier on he must tell South Africans the truth. So where do you stand? Are you saying, because you've even dismissed some of your members for voting with the ANC and EFF, so that says you've just said you don't agree with their policies, but where do you stand on the whole principle of not only coalition parties but election coalition agreements?
Look, Tepi, so we must be pragmatic and realistic as society, as South Africa. Coalitions are not unique to the world. They were all developed democracies. We look at almost the entire Europe, with the exception of the UK at the moment. There are non-coalition governments for many years. So coalitions arrangements is nothing new. But coalitions can only succeed when you have parties approaching the discussions to humility and respect. But in this particular case, unfortunately, what is obviously creating a problem with the collapse of the municipalities. First, it's obviously ANC using their pala dollars to buy councillors. So unfortunately, if anyone is ignoring this fact and saying that they are experts and not really bring this matter into perspective, they are making a terrible mistake and misleading society as so-called experts. And secondly, it's actually about the DA when they coalesce with other parties. Please show respect, because if you don't show respect and humility, you will create those problems. Like right now, to just listen to Mr. Steenhuisen calling us Action South Africa, that we've agreed to come to a meeting. When? I'm not even really sure, because yesterday, the whole week, we've been trying to really get a meeting together for Monday. And yesterday, when I had discussion with him, a telephone call, he said he's not available. On Monday, I said, look, anytime next week, just talk to the other colleagues, then we can get together, not virtual. We can get together as political party leaders. And also one of the things that is obviously of concern to me, already coming out with prescription that this coalition, these arrangements must be led by party leaders. I mean, John knows very well from their side, he does not really have the mandate. The mandate from his party is carried by what he calls the FedEx. That's why they keep on collapsing. So I'm saying is, we cannot come out with such prescriptions in advance. So we as ActionSA, we believe, and that's something that we would like to really get together with them. We believe very strongly that parties must be represented by a team. We must agree whether it's going to be 3 or 4, whatever number. But you cannot expect the party leaders on their own to really agree on anything, because
I have run out of
yes, you are
time,
aware,
Mr.
does not have
Mashaba.
the authority.
And I have to ask this question. You said you are practical. Do you think it is pragmatic to envision a coalition government that leaves out the EFF, which is the third biggest opposition party in the country?
I think I personally strongly believe that come 2024, if we can come to our senses and demonstrate some maturity and humility in this matter, I can tell you South Africans are looking for different political party to run the coalition government that they're going to vote for. And that only thing that we need to do is to ensure that we can bring the ANC and the EFF way below the 50%. And personally, I believe it is possible. ActionSA we're playing our role. We are going to be one of the major players come 2024. That's why we are happy to coalesce with other parties, but we want them to really show us respect.
All right. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your insights on this moonshot pact. Action SA President Herman Mashaba really saying that they are in principle agreed to discussing this matter, but no final decision has been made. That in fact he has reached out to John Steers in formal talks. So we're definitely watching those developments.